As you know, the properties in Fall River, Mass are very old. A lot of these 3 families, 4 families, 6 families, they're all over 100 years old. So there's a lot of nuances when it comes to maintenance on these properties that you have to be aware of. Okay, so here are a few things to consider. Number one, a lot of these properties have space heaters for the heat. These aren't up-to-date modern HVAC systems. They're a big box that sits in the middle of the floor that vents out. It's a gas space heater. They work, they're effective. You have to know what you're doing when you work on them. We have the guys for that. Number two, the electrical in these buildings can be very old. There's still knob and tube that's live. And you know what? That's allowed as long as it's safe. So you want to make sure that that's up to par, something to consider. Number three, the plumbing. I mean, I've seen 4 to 5 different generations of plumbing on the same line in the same building, from galvanized to steel to copper, just to everything, right? Clay lines going outside and maybe even PVC, okay? The next one, stone foundations. These foundations in a lot of these buildings are made out of big blocks of granite, field stone. There's some things there you have to know about as far as water penetration and how to deal with that. We have that covered. The next thing is slanted floors. A lot of these buildings were built with balloon framing. It's not like modern day framing. The runs go all the way up, which also is problematic for fires. But because of that, you see the floors tend to have slants. Remember, these buildings are 100 years old. Unless there's something obvious, the slant is the slant. You create more problems than you solve by trying to straighten it out. We're pretty good at spotting those things and advising you accordingly. Next, the kitchens on these buildings are very oddly shaped a lot of times. Remember, this is 100 years of growth and development of kitchens. So appliances, there's some nuances there. You can't just order certain things. You have to be conscientious of how the stove's gonna fit, where the fridge is gonna go. Is it even a right size? Can you get it in the door? And all of that. The next one's very important. Lead paint safety, okay? These buildings probably have lead paint. They're all built before 1978. So you have to consider that in your maintenance, as well as asbestos sometimes in these buildings, and the flooring, and the pipes in the basement, just all kinds of different things environmentally. Lead paint's the predominant main one to be concerned with. Next, old windows and doors, okay? You know, they don't have up-to-date windows all the time. Or if they do, they're weird sizes. So when you order, you can't just order off the shelf. It's very expensive. You're getting custom-sized windows. They're not new construction windows. They're gonna be replacement windows. The older windows may be there. There's lead paint concerns with the windows. Same thing with the doors, right? The doors are weird sizes. The doors aren't as thick, so the doorknobs don't always fit right when you buy them at Home Depot. So these are all things you have to think about. So when, you know, as you're maintaining your property and you're looking at it, consider those things. And finally, one of the most important things, fire escapes. So these buildings were built before modern fire codes. So in these buildings, you may not have the proper stairs, you might have a ladder. So all these things you have to think about as far as smoke detectors and all that. So it's very important that you consider that as well. So we've been dealing with these buildings for a long time. We have it dialed in. We're here to advise you and we can talk you through any of these issues. It's not typical maintenance that you think of on a new modern building. So let's connect if you have any questions and we'll help you out and set you up with one of our vetted vendors who are skilled and qualified to work on these issues for you. Thanks.